This is LEGO's only attempt at a Coruscant Jedi Temple. It's just a lamp post and it came in this set here. Literally the only thing we ever got in terms of Jedi Temple. This is our attempt. This is the 11,000 pieces Ultimate Custom Collector Series Jedi Temple designed by Interstellar Bricks. This thing is massive and a beauty through and through. I'm pretty sure everyone is familiar with the Jedi Temple. It was seen in every movie of the prequel trilogy and in a ton of series like Clone Wars as well. It was the administrative center of the Jedi Order and it was located in the heart of the galaxy on Coruscant. It housed the Jedi Council, Jedi Archives, Holocron Chamber, training and meeting rooms and much more. Most importantly though, it was built on an ancient holy hill with many caves and shrines in it, and so Jedi naturally felt attracted to this place. This incredible depiction of the Jedi Temple in LEGO is probably the most detailed one I have ever seen, and I gotta tell you, there are many MOCs of the Jedi Temple out there and not one single set. What a shame. Anyways, before we dive in, if you also think this is among the best Jedi temples out there and you happen to have the space, time, dedication and certainly money to build this behemoth, you can find the building instructions and parts list on our website BrickVault.toys, and with your purchase you not only support us as the distributor and advertiser of these custom builds, but you also support the incredible designers we work with like Interstellar Bricks, who is a new designer in the BrickVault family, and what an epic entrance with this temple. I'll let you know what I paid for this Jedi Temple at the end of this video, but quick hint, it is much cheaper if you only build the outside of the temple without the interior part. Yes, this build has an interior. This is also actually our first ever Star Wars building, or diorama build if you wish, which is really exciting. If you want to see more of these kinds of builds too, I know I have seen a few comments lately about these types of MOCs. Let us know in the comments what exactly you want to see, and who knows, maybe your suggestion will become the next iconic BrickVault MOC. This is a centerpiece for any collection, and in fact I did all calculations, and I'm sure this wasn't on purpose, but I'd have to ask Interstellar Bricks again. This Jedi Temple is actually extremely close to scale to our UCCS Acclamator by Fly in Space, and therefore also to our UCCS Venator by Martin Letter, and the Invisible Hand and the new Pelter frigates by Brooksy. Again, not sure if this is a coincidence, but the scales are super close to the point where one could say this is exactly how big the Acclamator would be next to the Jedi Temple. The temple itself is built on 4 32 by 32 base plates plus a little extension on each side, so it's around 56 centimeters wide and 43 centimeters tall. To give you a better idea about the size, here's a scale next to it. Let's put the temple on top to see how much these 11,500 pieces weigh. It's a heavy boy. The outside of the temple has 5 layers, so to speak. The ground layer, which is only a little over a brick thick, the first elevated landing, then the long side walls topped off with the roof, and on the very top we have the different Jedi councils. Yes, the Jedi have multiple councils, but let's start at the bottom and work our way up. At the very bottom and front of the temple we have the iconic entrance that is decorated with pillars and the statues of the 4 founding Jedi Masters of the temple. This is also probably one of the most iconic locations in all of Star Wars when Darth Vader entered here with his 501st Clone Legion. Interstellar Bricks brilliantly included a couple of 1x2 white tiles to depict the army walking up the stairs to commit a couple of war crimes against children. If we look really closely, and that's really difficult to capture, we even have the hallways into the temple built up behind these dark tan pillars, which gives this so much depth. All around the foot of the building we have a ton of snot techniques used, meaning studs not on top. This could have easily been only some stacked plates and tiles, but Interstellar Bricks went out of his way to build up this section more interestingly. We also have some dark grey decorative ornaments built up around the temple's first elevated landing. Inside the section to the left of the entrance is where Yoda and Obi-Wan killed a bunch of 501st troops during Order 66. Up top we have what I think is one of the coolest looking sections in this whole build, and let me tell you, during the build this is the most frustrating section ever. We have huge numbers of 1x1 G-slope pieces placed on their sides here. It really looks nice, but that particular step in the instruction was really annoying, with almost 300 G-slopes having to be inserted here. It really requires some patience. We also have this technique used on the roof roof, with thankfully not as many cheese slopes this time. I also really like how Interstellar Bricks laid Technic bricks on their sides and inserted Technic pins and bars, makes for a really interesting look. The next section above are the side walls, which are built up using slopes and tiles on their sides to get the Dark 10 lines in there. Somewhere up here is also where the Jedi Archive and Holocron chambers are located. And the roof is also quite interesting to look at, thanks to the before mentioned cheese slope technique that also was used, rotated 90 degrees to represent Dark 10 doors. Really cool stuff, and again I love that the roof has so many different layers and depth, and even a small plant is represented up here. The big tower in the middle is actually a sacred Jedi site, which houses the oldest known surviving Jedi texts. One would think that they shouldn't be stored up that high in such a skinny pillar, because I think it would only take a Coruscant taxi driver who had a few too many death sticks that night to crash into this. But that's what the Jedi chose, I guess. These 4 smaller spires on top are the different Jedi councils, with the one on the front right looking from the entrance being the most popular one, because that one houses the main Jedi Council that we all know from the movies, and that is also present as a minifigure compatible interior in this temple. The temple can be taken apart into 5 sections. You can take off the roof in one section, inside is the Jedi Council that you can take out, and the walls can also be removed, and we have the Jedi Archive and Holocron chamber here. Let's take a look at the Jedi Council first. The Jedi Council has the correct amount of seats, which is 12, for 11 Jedi Masters and 1 rebellious teen. The seats are removable, most of them are only connected with one stud to swivel them around, and the floor has some really cool decorative elements with the plant pieces in dark red and the tan heart pieces used. The other piece of interior we have is the Jedi Archive that Obi-Wan tried to find Kamino in, for example. We have these tables with holographic displays in the middle and swiveling chairs. And in front of each row of bookshelves is a gold statue of a Grand Jedi Master depicted. The bookshelves, which are probably for digital books I believe, are also built using snot with a bunch of transparent plates, and if you shine a light through them, they look really awesome. So if you are able to get some light components, I think those would look extra neat. Notice the floor, which has some really tricky building going on to get all the lines in there. The next section, and I think this is a really cool addition, is the Holocron Vault that you can see in some of the Clone Wars episodes. A Holocron is basically a cube housing critical Jedi information that can only be opened by someone who is gifted with the Force. You can see all these translite blue tiles in here that each represents one Holocron. The walls are angled in slightly, which gives this a much more interesting look, and we have the entrance depicted here with a small keypad off to the side. On each side of the vault is a small carrying handle, so it's easier for you to lift it out of the temple, which is a nice addition. I think all of these interior sections can easily be displayed on their own. The temple is a really sturdy build, tons of Technic pieces used to build up the ground section. I transported it in my car and not one single piece came off. It looks as rugged as it is. I recommend sliding it off a table or shelf to get a good grip on the underside. That's the best, safest and most intuitive way to hold this, because it also weighs a ton. Now onto what you all have been waiting for, and that's the price of the pieces. With shipping on Bricklink from 8 different sellers, I paid around 1,100 euro for it, which is around 1,250 USD. I'm pretty sure you can get a better price on it if you select the stores manually or if you search for used pieces only. If you only want to build the outside of the temple for display and don't need the extra interior, you can almost cut this price and piece count in half. The temple alone has 6,777 pieces and they will cost you around 600 to 700 USD. That's still expensive for Lego of course, but it's actually really good for MOC standards, and you get one of the coolest looking MOCs you will probably ever own, I'm sure. I hope I showed you everything you wanted to see, and this gives you a good idea what to expect if you want to get the instructions and attempt to build this temple for yourself. Again, you can find everything you need on BrickVault.toys or in the description of this video. If you liked this build and video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to not miss out on any future builds just like this one, and I'll catch you in the next one at BrickVault.